All right, so this is Randy Lee. Randy is something of a Dallas legend. He's
I'm a legend in my own mind.
And in others, though. So a lot of the tenor sax players, just the musicians in general in the DFW area, really look up to Randy. He's been a huge influence on a lot of people. He once told me a story involving a certain guitar player, and I'll let him take it.
Well, that sounds good. I'd be happy to tell you the story. I was starting a band. It was going to be a funk band. I thought it was going to be, my intention was to be a Tower of Power with a little more jazz influence, but it turned out that the band ended up being more of a funkadelic George Clinton type of band. So anyway, we started the band, and the guitar player, without getting into a long, morbid story, ended up passing away in a car accident. Kenny Renfro was his name. We called him Catfish, and he was a great player, but passed away. So we needed another guitar player. So our manager at the time was a guy named Angus Wynn.
When was this?
Probably middle to late 70s.
Okay.
76, 75, 76, 77.
Okay.
Right in there. And so Angus, our manager, he says, I've got a kid from Austin that I want to bring up and audition with you guys. And we're like, okay, fine. So he brings this young man up. We were in our rehearsal facility, and he came, and we chatted for a minute, and he hooked his stuff up, and obviously was very talented, was a young guy, but he was real blues oriented, and he played real soft. He was like a mouse. He was very timid. I think he was just young and out of his element. And after the rehearsal, he came up to me and he says, "Are you Randy Lee?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he says, "Well, I've heard everybody knows about your playing. It's nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Well, son," I said, "we're not going to be able to use you because it's just not what we're looking for, but you're a fantastic player. I would advise you to just turn that damn amp up and get your own little group and go for it because you're very talented." Well, it turned out it was Stevie Ray Vaughan. We didn't know who that was at the time. I had heard of his older brother, but I didn't know about Stevie. So anyway, of course, he went on and became a big star. And
he also went on to never be told to turn his amp up again.
Well, I was not trying to be judgmental or anything. I just thought he played really, really good, and he was just out of his element with us. And I told him, I said, "Just turn your damn amp up. You sound fantastic." Obviously, he did.
Yes, he did.
And so years later, I see him at a AA meeting. I was having a little bit of trouble. And so anyway, it was the Central Expressway. Fitzhugh exit was the meeting. And I saw him there, and I walked up to him, and I said, "Do you remember me, blah, blah, blah?" And he goes, "Yes," and we hugged. And he says, "Man," he says, "you gave me some really good advice." He said, "When I was auditioning for your band, you told me to just turn the damn amp up and get my own group." That's exactly what I did. And we laughed about it, and I said, "Well, Stevie, I'll take 10% of your next album." And he unfortunately passed away maybe a year after that in the helicopter.
Right.
Was it a plane or a helicopter?
Helicopter.
It was a helicopter.
Yeah.
Obviously, just an immense talent. And I told my daughter this, and my daughter, she thought that was an amazing story. And I've told several people that, but it's a true story. I'm being honest about it.
That is an amazing story.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Randy.
You're welcome, Mark.